Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network, live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode. We will review the Faves 5 picks we put into the contest, dissect why we left some of them out, preview the early lines for week 13. Man, 13. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon. Are you muted, buddy?
Always. I know, always. I'm always just because I don't want to mess up your intro. Yeah, what a day. Crazy day of football.
Holy crap. It was like wacky, wild, head spinning, heart attack inducing, stomach churning slate of early games. And somehow, from the contest point of view, we were not really impacted by any of them. In fact, for the second week in a row, we only played 2 of the 4 games that were typically obvious plays for us that we tend to love. 3 of those games won. Only loss was the one that we played, just like Buffalo last week. The only loss was the one that we played. And when I say Buffalo, I mean Kansas City losing to Buffalo. We did find a teeny tiny bit of redemption with one of our favorite teams to bet. We will get to all of that and more. Cliffhanger right there, Simon. Catch every episode of The Favorites on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets. When you bet $5, sign up using promo code FAVORITES, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. We are 2-2 heading into the Sunday night game. We are on the Rams at plus 2.5. This is a strictly Simon bet. Last week, the Browns were a strictly Chad bet. It did not work. This week, we are on a strictly Simon bet. I hope it works. I'd like to be 3-2. I'm willing to lose my Eagles bet that has actual dollars on it because I know how much you want the Rams, and I'd like us to be 3-2 this week.
You're literally a crazy person. I love that every time you mention this, you're like, it's because of the Browns last week. No, I would have made this bet before Stin, regardless of the Browns covered last week or if they didn't. I love that's your reference point, but yeah, we need it. We need it for a winning week. And we talked this morning. I was open to taking out just because it's a bad number. Like we said, there's threes
Yeah,
out there. I'd feel more confident if we had a 3.5. But luckily we didn't, because I think we talked about either putting the Patriots or the Bears in there, which obviously the Bears would have been epic for us. But Patriots, woo, that would have been painful if we had put that one in. So
painful.
yeah, I'm happy with 2-2 right now. I don't know about you.
I feel great about 2-2, and I feel great, especially because I think we got a little bit lucky, and we'll talk about it. Let's talk about the game we loved the most. One of the big dogs in the early slate that just could not get it done. We had Indianapolis plus 7.5 against Detroit in Indy, and like we were all over it. We loved it. We've been super impressed with Steichen. We've been super impressed with the Colts. We like their running game. We thought this could be not a letdown spot because we've said this all year. Physical travels, and the Lions are a very physical team. But we liked a little bit of the matchup. So we thought we were getting a good number, good matchup, elite unit on the right side of the ball for the Colts. And like the first half was so tantalizing. I don't know how you felt about it, but the Colts got field goals, the Lions got touchdowns, and you just felt like they need one more play to put themselves in a position to be able to be competitive in this game.
It felt like what you just said. That to me is the basis of it. One team could run the ball today in Detroit, and one team could not run the ball.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor, he just did not show up today. He did nothing for us. And I'll be honest, when they kicked that field goal to start the game, I instantly regretted making it one of my biggest bets of the day. I don't know about you, but I was like, why is this a huge bet for me today? Because I loaded up on it. I love the spot, love the number. And, like we keep saying, Detroit breaks a lot of these rules, and I keep going against them in certain spots, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, you can't kick field goals against Detroit, especially when you're in the red zone, a couple yards out. It's just Detroit's going to get theirs, and their defense played well. Like Detroit put up what 24 points.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like a lot of points, that's pretty good when you go up against this juggernaut of an offense that Detroit has. And yeah, their run game is just something special, and their defense showed up. And they're just a complete team right now in Detroit with the Colts. Like you said, it was a competitive game. It was 14-6. A couple things could have broke our way, and that would have been a much closer half. But that second half, it was just all Detroit. They made the right adjustments. Richardson could not do a single thing in that second half. At one point, I think he was 9 for 24
Yeah.
passing. So, yeah, all the good we saw in the Jets game kind of went out the window. He just was not connecting with his guys today. These guys open too, which was brutal. But bad read, bad bet, and we haven't learned our lesson here with this Detroit team. But maybe we'll see this upcoming week. I think I'll be able to get you on Detroit side.
It's going to make it tricky. I've already flagged that game for the week 13 lines we're looking at. And, we'll obviously talk about it a lot on the favorites. Anthony Richardson, you just mentioned how badly he played, completed just 39% of his passes.
Yeah.
The Lions, too good, too physical, too well coached, right? 5 penalties for the Lions, 10 for the Colts. Lions 3 for 4 in the red zone. Colts 0 for 2. A boring game, poorly played, completely disappointing. That's how I look at this game.
Yeah, like I said though, he had opportunities. You were right though. He was just inaccurate, and it's like, I mean, we know what you're doing when we bet him, but it's just brutal because he was running the ball so well to start that game, and it's like,
So
okay, they're
well.
moving the ball here against Detroit, and then he just completely folded on himself. I don't know whatever happened that second half. He just was not the same guy as he was in the first half. They just had no rhythm to that offense. So, yeah, like I said, that just Detroit right now. They're just a complete team, and they're not just beating these teams, like they're destroying them. Like that was another double-digit win. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
they're destroying them, and I feel like they're mentally breaking them sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
like look back a few weeks ago. They played the Vikings. The Vikings were killing them. The Lions come back. Sam Darnold for the next 3 or 4 weeks was a different player. And like it's like they're so freaking physical. They're so hard to play. I think it really wears you down. And we saw that. We saw that with the Colts
And
today.
they know exactly who they are. They're running it on 3rd and 8, and it's a smart read. Like, Goff, he's just got the confidence at the line that he'll adjust. He'll see. He'll be like, all right, they're dropping back on 3rd and 8. I'll just run it here, and they're picking up 10 yards in that carry. Like, and that 1-2 punch of Gibbs Montgomery, man, it's lethal right now. So they're just
So good.
if you're a fan of their team, obviously you're hoping they carry into the playoffs, because right now, I mean, for this last month and a half, they've just been totally by far the best team in football. They're just so complete right now.
Quick reminder, our free Favorites Podcast watch party is just weeks away. It's time to RSVP, folks. Thursday, December 12th, The Wicked Wolf in Center City, Philadelphia, Simon Hunter's hometown. We're going to do drinks, free drinks, a live Q&A with me and Simon. Matt Mitchell is going to be there too. Starts at 6, ends at 8. We're going to hang out for Thursday night football, the Rams and the Niners. To RSVP, check out the link in the podcast description page or on the YouTube episode description. Simon and I will tweet it out as well. Space is limited. RSVPs are pouring in. Don't delay. Please get it done. All right. The other game, Kansas City at Carolina. We had Carolina plus 10.5. It ended up pretty glorious and not very suspenseful. It ended up looking exactly right, and us doing the right thing by not being afraid of what we've seen on the field and what the situation told us and what the trends told us, and not being afraid that we were going to make our listeners and our viewers truly hate us for betting on the Panthers. The Panthers finally looking like the team we thought they would be to start the year, right? They were just good enough and at times fantastic, and they found their way, and Bryce Young did the right things. There was a moment, though, I don't know if you feel the same way, where I was like, oh, fudge. Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I would say the opening touchdown when the guy's wide open, Noah Gray, and it's like Mahomes throwing to wide open guys. This is not good for me and Chad. And then we had 3 straight field goals by Carolina. So yeah, this is life betting these bad teams. It just makes you pull your hair out, all the different scenarios. But you're right. Like, we trusted the number. When it came down to it, I was kicking myself that we didn't take on the money line round robin, because that was honestly where I wanted to put them, but I didn't, because I just knew the fans were so sick of us and our Carolina love. That's like, all right, just if we can get them just to take 10.5, that would be a celebration. And yeah, luckily, good number, good bet. We always talk about Mahomes. I can't even blame them for this one, right? That was really the defense of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They were the ones that really didn't show up in this game. So that was probably the most shocking part of it, was that me and you joked before. It's like, can Bryce Young get us that 20 points threshold? Because we saw that stat by Evan, which is just crazy. Basically, if a team doesn't get to 20 points, then Mahomes is a favorite. He's
as a double-digit
13-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's crazy.
we got to it, and this is what we thought this Panthers team would be: a fun team on offense that could spread teams out, run the ball well, and then make teams kind of suck in. And when they do, Bryce Young is very accurate, right? He's really good on those first, second reads. The issue with him was just, if he has a little bit of pressure, he just kept folding. He's not athletic enough to run outside the pocket.
But he's not doing that now. Like, in this game, he was pressured constantly. He was rolling out constantly. He was throwing out his back foot, and he was dropping dimes to people, like, all the way down the field, who are running out routes towards the sideline. And he's got someone literally in his face holding on to him. And he hit some great throws today.
Yeah, got his confidence back, right? And that's something we talked about. We're like, he's not as bad as he looked. We just don't know if he's a starter in this league. But we talk all the time. You need 2 to 3 years really to evaluate these quarterbacks. That's what's so tough about this, where it's like, did we want to bury him because we just don't think he has the body? He doesn't have the, what we expect a quarterback to be, a big 6'5" guy. Yeah, but at the same time, you can see why he was a top pick, right? Like you just said, he was making plays that, I don't know about you, but those were a couple times I was like freaking out. It's like, this kid is just lofting off his back foot.
Yes.
But like you said, it was dropping right into the guy's bucket. So, yeah, great game, great bet. And The 10.5, that was a little scary in the very beginning, Chad, but at the end, it was never really in doubt.
There was a moment. That's what I want to know if you were thinking the same thing. So there was a moment where the the leverage point was 11, right? It was 27-16.
Right, right.
And it was going back and forth on that. And if it was going to be field goal, field goal, field goal, trading field goals, with the Panthers hoping they might be able to get to the end zone and cut it a little bit closer as it gets later, it was going to land on a bad number for us. I had bet the 11. I don't know if you bet the 11 and a half.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I bet some 10.5s too, but right. My main bets were 11.5.
right. So it got tricky there at the end because in the contest, we had to take the Niners out of the contest when Brock Purdy was announced as not playing. And we put the Packers in at 3.5, and we'll get to
Well, it was the day
Packers game.
before. We just did it just in case because it hadn't been released yet. If you was,
Right. Right. But what happened was in that window between us choosing the Niners, we had also chosen the Panthers at
right.
11.5.
Oh, I
And
see what you're saying. So we
so
lost that.
so we lost the 11.5, and now we had 10.5. So during the game, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? That we're gonna lose the Colts and we're gonna lose the Panthers, who we were on the whole time, and we finally got right, and we're gonna lose it by half a point. And then
We've joked though. This
miraculously,
year's been weird, Chad. The two and the three have only really mattered to this year. Do you
yeah,
agree? It
yeah,
feels like in all of our bets, the only time it's really burned us is if it's two or three. Every other game is either a blowout or the dog wins outright. It's been very bizarre this year where the numbers really have not mattered. Like we joked today, it was like Arizona was half a point. I was like, who cares? This ain't gonna land on half, you know?
yeah.
So it was just it's been weird. Like this year, it's just the two and the three have been such key numbers. And me and you talk about that where it's like we are not, we freak out about the number so much because me and you've done this long enough. We've been burned by that hook on weird numbers before. But in actuality, it just never, I mean, this year especially, it just not has not happened to us. Our numbers have not mattered.
Fascinating game. The Panthers were 9 of 13 on third and fourth down conversions combined, right? Bryce Young had two great third down completions in really critical moments. They own time of possession. The problem was they just couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes. In the first half, the Chiefs had 15 first downs. And it was only in the second half when the Chiefs do what they always do. They decide to get a little more conservative, uh, that the Panthers defense finally found some success in holding them a little bit. But then the Chiefs couldn't stop the Panthers. And so the question becomes, like, are these Panthers are these Panthers a team that we are starting to believe in? Will the market catch up? They've got a big number against a division rival this upcoming week. We're going to talk about it on the show later. I don't know if you flagged it. I certainly flagged it, but it definitely was a game that stood out to me. So I don't know if there's like an adjustment yet, if this will make the market change a little bit. Obviously, we were ahead of it. We've liked what they've done the past couple of weeks. Plus, they had the bye. It was a big sort of action bet today. People were on the Panthers. Raybon talked about it on Convince Me. I don't know if you're looking at the Panthers and you're like, do I have to reevaluate them?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I have to keep adjusting. I told you, like, I had them at 8.5. The number was sitting on 8 until that final touchdown, right? So it's like, felt like I was like, okay, this is where this game should be. So we'll see this line this upcoming week. Maybe the books will finally catch up to it, but unlikely, right? Because I think you're talking about their matchup where it's like the public is going to be kind of fading them once again, I feel like, this upcoming week.
Well, probably they're playing the Bucks, and the Bucks
Right.
obviously dominated the Giants. And Baker just balled. I don't know if
Love
did you
them.
watch any of that game?
Yeah.
I love watching him play.
Yeah. He's
He
hilarious.
gives
Him throwing the block downfield, all of it. He's just hilarious.
he gives no fucks. Like
No.
that is why his teammates love him so much. He is amazing to watch. And that Giants team, they just quit. Um, San Francisco at Green Bay. So this was like the pivot game, the leverage game for us because we heard Brock Purdy was going to be out. All those rumors were happening. We wanted to get him out of the contest. We immediately flipped to Green Bay. We had Green Bay 3.5. And that was the game that made us take the Panthers at 10.5. I got like I don't think we loved the Packers at 3.5. Did we?
I did. I get why you didn't trust it though, because this isn't the type of spot we bet. We like betting the backups with a big number. So like I get
Yeah.
why to you it was a little foreign, but I don't know if it was Tennessee. You said whoever it was in our text chain to put them in. I'm like, can we just for once take the fucking easy bet and just take Green Bay here? And it was just like I was like, Chad, if someone was like, yeah, you can climb Mount Everest without oxygen or with oxygen, Chad goes, let's do it without oxygen. Huh? It'd be better without oxygen. So yeah, thank God we put Green Bay, and it just even up to 6.5, I would have been like, you know what? Probably can take this. Like it just we already doubted that 49ers team. Then coming in, they had, a bunch of injuries, and then no Bosa, no Purdy. It's like we talked last year. They were a stars and scrub team. They're a team that's very top heavy. And you saw it today. Like they're a good offense, right? Even when Kittle's in there, he's good. But Debo has not been making plays for them like they need to. And this kid came in and Allen hung in there for a little bit, but eventually you saw the ball start sailing a little bit once he took a couple hits. And that's how it is. It's just hard as hell to be consistent for 4 quarters in the NFL. Like we joke all the time. There's 14, 15 quarterbacks you trust to be consistent in this league week to week, and he ain't going to be one of them. So we could have got burned by it. That's what your hesitation was. But my view was just like, let's just play this number against a backup on a 49ers team that's just having the year from hell. And you saw it kind of accumulate in that game, right? Like they were kind of getting back into it, and then little by little things would just kept going wrong for him. Once again, Jordan Love didn't even play great, even though, he had a bad drop by Watson. There was a couple of things he didn't do great. It was just a great run game, and then their defense for Green Bay, which is feel like this whole season, their turnovers is what's carried this team all year.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney had another interception.
Yeah.
I think they got really lucky. It was 24-10. Jordan Love into the fourth quarter was 9 of 19 for 109 yards. At this point in the game, early in the fourth quarter, they had just punted. They had only had 2 first downs in the second half. They had scored 17 points early, basically on the strength of Josh Jacobs running over 49ers. They had 15 missed tackles in the first half of the game. Josh Jacobs was 12 of those. And then he left the game for cramps. And when he came back in, he dominated again. But Jordan Love was terrible. And he's been terrible all season. And that, to me, was my biggest concern, was all of a sudden the number had popped to 3.5, and we were on the other side of the hook. And we were betting on a bad quarterback right now, like a very inconsistent, as you say, quarterback. There's not a lot of people we can count on. That was, to me, was the concern. I didn't have faith he'd be able to make the plays when we really needed him to. And he kind of didn't, except for that one drop by Watson. That makes me think about the future. Obviously, they're playing Thanksgiving. That's another game I flagged. They're playing Miami. And I'm going to want to talk about that with you, because all of a sudden I'm concerned about Jordan Love. He's just had a bad year. He's just had a really bad year.
Yeah, and I think they talked about it during the broadcast. He was leading the league in interceptions, even though he missed multiple games this year.
Yeah.
And last year the best part of Jordan Love was how the second half of the season, I think he only had 2 interceptions or something crazy like that. And it's like, okay, this guy's throwing for multiple touchdowns a game with no interceptions. He's a stud. They paid him like one, and this year, you've seen it. He's regressed to the median, right? It's like,
Yeah,
he's not that guy who's like Aaron Rodgers. That Aaron Rodgers was a unicorn. We've always talked about that. His 30 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. It's not going to happen again. And like, I was scared because I was like, oh my God, they might have got another Aaron Rodgers here, because he was just so smart last year with the ball. Like anytime he'd throw 50-50 balls last year, it felt like he'd put it in a position where his guy would catch it or no one would. This year, a lot of his stuff's like over the middle, just bullets, like no fades in the corner. Like he's trying to like throw through guys, and he's throwing it right to defenders a couple times. So you're right to be hesitant about him right now. I mean, I got no excuses for him. He's just been bad this year.
I do wonder how much the injuries are impacting him, right? Like he has lower body injuries that impacts your mobility. I think it impacts your confidence, and it probably impacts your performance in a variety of ways that you can't really sort of tangibly put your finger on. But he's clearly not the same player he was last year, and he hasn't been all year. And he's been injured all year, so he's probably playing through stuff. He might be back to his old self next year. This year, no love.
Yeah.
This week we have no Thursday episode. It is Thanksgiving. I want everyone to have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I will be packing up my mother-in-law in Staten Island. I hope everyone is doing something a lot more fun than that. As is tradition, we will do our Thanksgiving mega episode on Tuesday at the usual time. That is 1:45 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. All the picks, all of our segments, all on Thursday. That's big balls. That's the money line underdog round robin. That's the boosted parlays, every pick, the foxhole. It's all going to be on Tuesday so we can celebrate Turkey Day. Last game, Arizona at Seattle. Did we get got like on this? Like it felt like the Cardinals were just disinterested in this whole game. Like at one point they couldn't convert on third down, 6 straight missed third downs. 4th and 1 didn't convert. Got lucky with a called Seattle timeout. And then the next play, Kyler Murray rolling out, gonna run for it, decides to pull it back, has a guy wide freaking open. Little tiny teardrop pass. It's gonna be perfect. Sails on him. Pick six, Seattle ends up being the game. What happened here?
Yeah, we got Kyler. I mean, he just played awful in every aspect, like you just talked about. And for some reason, they wouldn't commit to the run, even though it was a 7-3 game, like
Yeah.
the whole first half. And yeah, that pick six is kind of like the nail in the coffin because Gino didn't have it either. I mean, let's be
No.
honest. Like he
He
had
didn't
that
and
nice 2-minute drill like he always
yeah,
does.
he didn't and he did. Like in the same sort of chaotic, high pressure situations where everyone is running around, Gino had multiple plays where he got out of the pocket, found the guy, and made the miracle play that sort of feels like the the kick in the dick that we all have when we're losing these games. And the rest of the time he's just Gino and he makes stupid decisions. But it's like those 2 minutes are cardiac.
Yeah, like honestly, like you're describing him, he's great between the 30s. That's where Gino's great.
Yeah.
Like you need a useless yards in the middle of the field, he'll get you those yards. That end zone pick he threw, like inexcusable. Just every week it feels
Inexcusable.
with Gino, he has moments like this. But no, it was Kyler. Kyler just totally laid an egg. I mean, I'm gonna go back and watch it all at 22. I know for a fact, a couple different options where he just missed wide open guys in the end zone. And it could be because maybe he had a little bit of pressure in this game where it's like he gets rattled easily. And when he has that, he just starts feeling like there's guys around him when there wasn't any sometimes. Like he panicked, tried to run out of the pocket too often. But the biggest issue for me is them abandoning the run. We know Seattle is not great against the run. And, they kind of just moved on from it right away early in the game. Like it didn't work for a little bit. And they were just like, all right, we'll just have Kyler throw it 40 times this game. Which was bizarre because, like we just said, it was a close game all the way to the end. So yeah, bad bet, bad read.
He looked bored. Kyler just looked bored and disinterested, you know? Um, we got a couple regrets here. So the two big dogs that we left out, big division dogs that we left out, Titans and Cowboys. Obviously, they both won today. Crazy, crazy games.
Yeah.
And this was, you said earlier, we trusted the number with the Panthers, right? We should have trusted the number with the Titans and the Cowboys. But both teams have quarterbacks that we do not trust. And unlike Bryce Young, there's been no evidence that we should trust them, right? I'm like trying to unpack why didn't we just go with them? Like we knew that we had such a long conversation about the Titans and like the trends worried us. But then the trends are also there to regress.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
don't know why
mean,
we
Will
didn't put him.
Levis, I think he got sacked 8 times and he threw a pick
He got
six.
sacked 8 times in the first half, like 6 times in the first half, and he threw a pick six to give the Texans the lead. And when that happened, I was like, honest to God, I was actually more upset about the games we didn't put in today than the games we lost, or more excited about the games we won.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that ever happens to you, but with Will Levis, when they went down 24-23 after that pick six, I said to myself, I'm so glad we didn't put this in the contest because it was ripe for the Texans to run away with that game after.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that a little bit. The biggest one I would say was the Bears. I
Yeah.
had guys in my ear about that game on Sunday last week. We talked about it Sunday night. It stayed at 3.5, literally all week until what 11 a.m.
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of games that make you sick because like I bet it. Obviously, I know you bet it. And it's like they came back. Again, we were dead. We were dead. They were down 14 with whatever that was, 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And we get that back to recover. Those are the ones I'm like, damn, I wish we had that one in because that's so much fun. I doubt most people listening to our show bet that just because, like most people, you know, the Brian Flores aspect of that game was a little scary with Caleb Williams, but
That's the reason
um,
we didn't put it in, I don't think.
yeah. And, you know, Caleb Williams, once again, whatever the changes happened, you know, I think he went over, right? He had 5 scrambles today, he had 5 rushes. Like, he's more comfortable running outside the pocket when he needs to, and he's making big time throws. And, you know, he had a couple big rookie moments when they really couldn't afford it. In that overtime, they lost it. But
Yeah.
that was a really fun cover, having that game land on a 3, just because it's like, everything that could have gone wrong felt like it was starting going wrong for them, especially when they had that muff punt. You know, they muffed that punt. The Vikings score right away and make it from 17-10 game to a 24-10 game. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a dead bet. And yeah, that Bears team, I know you guys have had the wins, Chad, but you guys have had hell of an exciting run here these last 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, painful life being a Bears fan. But silver lining is it feels like this is what the Lions went through and they eventually turned it around. So maybe this is just the beginning of something special, Chad.
Yeah, except the Lions had Dan Campbell and we don't know who. Maybe we'll get Ben Johnson next
Did
year.
you really, were you about Dan Campbell when they had lost 9? They started the year 0-9.
I love Dan Campbell. I was always on the
I thought
Dan
he was a fun
Campbell.
guy. I thought he was a fucking idiot. And I was like, this is not going to last once they're a good team, but
I was
it's
always on the
worked.
Campbell bandwagon from day one, never wavered. The scariest game, that Cowboys Commanders game, 4 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes with
Yeah.
4.5 minutes left, 92% to cover the under. Uh, Clearly it went over. The Commanders had 2 missed extra points. The Cowboys had a special teams touchdown on the onside kick, and then they had Kayvon Turpin with a video game move on a kickoff. Like, are you freaking kidding me? That was I didn't bet the under or that total, but geez Louise, that was brutal if you did.
Yeah, I like the under. I like the under just because it was a really nice spot of Washington off extended rest playing against a Cowboys team coming off a Monday night game, and it was like, okay, both these teams I think are going to be sloppy, unprepared. It was 3-3 at half. I was feeling really great about that under ticket, but you just said it. Then football happened, and all these wonky, crazy things happened. I think they scored, like you just said, 28 points in the finals 3 minutes of that
Yeah.
fourth quarter, something crazy like that. And yeah, Terry McLaurin, that Jane Daniels touchdown. You thought, okay, they'll go for 2 here, but Dan Quinn did his classic Dan Quinn thing, went for the extra point, and
I
I'm so
know.
happy they missed it because I fucking hate them. I hate when they do that. It's like I get it. Your guys might be a little tired because they just ran the whole field. So was the defense. Like you can't tell me that's not the spot to go for 2 there. So yeah, if you're a Cowboys fan, what a great win. Like you didn't think, you know, you thought the season was over. I think they had lost 5 straight up to this point. You know, Rush had a good game and their defense showed up. Like, you know, Kingsbury, he was the hot item to start the year. And now I don't know if they're going to bring him back, man. It seems like his offense has been kind of figured out here down these last couple of weeks.
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I'm most disappointed we didn't put the Cowboys in is because we had a long conversation. We identified Jaden Daniels' struggles the past 5 weeks. Um, he's just consistently gotten worse and worse to the point where when I mentioned Bo Nix as rookie of the year, Matt Mitchell wants to fight me. Um, but Jaden Daniels is just like that Terry McLaurin pass, 86 yards untouched. That
Yeah.
was miraculous. I don't know that that makes him like any better. He was terrible in this game. So, like, we're gonna have to have a conversation about this. We're gonna have to have a conversation about Rookie of the Year and his Bo Nix in his last 4 games. doing completion percentage type numbers that are similar to what Jaden Daniels did in his first 4 games and winning and actually getting better every game and winning in really challenging spots on the road against the Raiders, who always cover in this spot in the division, like it's going to be a conversation. I want to see those odds when we get to the Tuesday show. Who impressed you this week? Because I want to talk about some of the games.
Uh, I mean, you just talked about Bo Nix. I love Denver this week. It was a sweat, but they covered, and it was just really about how great their offense and their defense is playing, about how bad the Raiders have been playing, and it literally played out that way, right? The Raiders needed a fake punt and a 50-yard return to kind of have the lead early on, and
Yeah,
Minshew eventually knew he was going to do it. He threw a pick, kind of flipped the whole game, right? Kind of gave the Denver what they needed. So them and Miami, like this
yeah,
Miami team, you know, Tua's numbers this year when you dive into it, he's been like really good, especially since he's come back. I know it's because
amazing.
yeah, they're not playing against the best teams, but at the same time, he's been putting up the stats and like their offense is really humming. And that was another really terrible read. That New England team, I'll admit to it. I got sucked in just because Drake May had such big moments the last couple of weeks. He looked totally out of it in this game,
Yeah.
like totally lost from the get go. So they're definitely a team, want to give props to. And, a team that you were on this week, I should say, in Tennessee. I still don't know what they are because their defense isn't good, and that was the whole reason you kind of wanted to back them.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that team, even more so now because like we just said, Will Levis got dominated, but he is so good at pushing the ball downfield. Like when he's going downfield and then Pollard can run the ball, it just seems like Tennessee can move the ball. So they're just another team I have no read on right now because it's like I kind of wanted to take them this week, and now I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, didn't we just get away with one backing them this past week? Do we really have to try to back them again?
Well, here's the good news, Simon. Between Jaden Daniels and Will Levis and Tennessee and Tua and Jordan Love, we've talked about so many of the teams that I want to dig in on for week 13. Let's talk about a couple Thanksgiving games quickly.
Yeah.
Lions, Bears in Detroit. Lions are 10.5 point favorites right now. And like, how do we not take them?
Yeah, and Evan's going to give us some amazing stats this upcoming week. But basically, we talk every year. Thanksgiving is a very unique day. It's a day where you basically just bet the favorites. You try not to overthink it just because historically, the favorites cover. It's a weird trend, but it's panned out over my life as a bettor. It's like, I used to outthink it. I used to be like, okay, I'm always going to take the dogs usually. My theory, it stands true to this day, is I take all the favorites unless it's the Cowboys. I always fade the Cowboys. Whatever the dog is, I take that dog, especially outright. And on the flip side, I always take the favorites. There we go. Thank you, my man Evan. Favorites of over 10 points are 9-0 against the spread on Thanksgiving since 2005. 11-0 against the spread since a wild card era.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. Like you know me, I want to bet that Bears team. I would love to take 10.5 dogs. But on
Yes.
Thanksgiving, you throw that stuff out. It's a public holiday. Like the books, they let you get fat eating food and let your wallets get fat. Like don't overthink it. You simply fade the Cowboys on Thanksgiving and you take all the other favorites.
All right. Well, that's the second game. So, which is Miami, 3.5 point dog visiting Green Bay. Tua, who looked amazing, and I thought he looked amazing today. And shout out Dr. Nick Giffen, who gave out on Convince Me this morning the Dolphins team total over 27.5. They practically covered it in the first half. Tua, the ball handling, the accuracy, the comfort. Like, I always think back to that scene of Mike McDaniels when he was flying from San Francisco to Miami on the private plane. He called Tua and told him how good he was going to be in this offense.
Yeah.
And he so nailed it. What a difference in this team when Tua is playing. Kudos to them, but they are historically terrible against good teams, historically terrible on the road against good teams. I'm sure Evan has the metrics, and if he doesn't have them tonight in the chat, then we'll talk about them on Tuesday. And this is not a great spot for them. As much as I don't like Jordan Love, I feel like we got to take the Packers.
Yeah, and you just talked a little bit about it. It's like this ain't down in Miami. This is going to
Yeah.
be in what, 30 degrees? Maybe, I
Yep.
guess it's a night game. So what, 20 degrees at night in Lambeau? There's a reason they're giving you 3.5 here, Chad.
Yep.
Like, I agree with you. First glance, it's like, why is this not 2.5? Like, Green Bay, the way these teams have been playing, I wanted to be I'm with you. I wanted to be on Tua here, but I just broke it down, people. I don't overthink it. I take the home favorites here. This is just the way it is. And once again, we're getting a nice line here. So there's a couple threes out there. I'd grab that if you can right now. I could just see all the books going to 3.5 on this one.
Black Friday. There's 4 more games I want to discuss quickly, and then I want to get to the ones you
So
want.
just so we close out Thanksgiving, Lions. Obviously, we'll talk more on Tuesday. Lions, Giants, and Green Bay. Those are my bets right now.
Wow. Giants. Love it. Ballsy. Ballsy. Black Friday, Raiders, 12.5 at Kansas City. I'm taking it off now because we don't know what's going on with Minshew. I put it on in the script before we knew what was going on with Minshew. I'd want
Yeah,
to take the Raiders in that spot. But if I don't know who the quarterback is, I'm a little bit more skeptical. I don't know if you have thoughts there.
agree. We're sticking to. Oh man, Minshew done for the season, broken collarbone.
Ay.
Yikes. So you want me to take Aiden O'Connell in Kansas City on a short week? Give me
Aiden
14.
O'Connell's not going to be playing.
Oh right, it's Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter.
Oh Jesus, God. Oh God.
That's what I mean. Like,
Oh
of
God.
course we want to take the division
It's up to
nearly.
13. Okay,
I was going to say,
if you want to take the Raiders, wait, because if I like the Chiefs, you got to grab the Chiefs right now. This is
yeah,
going up.
yeah, it could get to 2 touchdowns. And if it gets to 2 touchdowns, maybe. Um, again, but that's really about how the Chiefs play, not about the
Yes,
Raiders, right?
yes,
We see it week in and week out. The Chiefs are very conservative
yeah.
in the second half, and they like to milk the clock. They don't care how much they win by.
No,
They are good
They're
enough.
playing for January.
Yeah, they're good
Yeah,
enough to convert when they need to and run the clock down. They're very conservative in the second half. It's how the Panthers stated it today. All right. Pittsburgh plus 2.5 at Cincinnati. Mike Tomlin as a dog in the division on the road. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't tell me no.
we can do it. I'm just pissed we don't get the 3. Sons of bitches.
Well, they
I'm
know what
pissed
they're
that the
doing.
public is so out on the Bengals now because if they would have capped off that comeback against the Chargers and the Pittsburgh loss like they did, we're getting 3.5 here. No problem. We're getting
Yes.
3.5 on this number. So I'm with you. I'll take it, but let's hope we get to a 3 on this one. That'd be so nice in this matchup because I just feel like this is going to be that classic game. Comes down to a field goal either side, right? I mean,
Dude, we're not getting a 3 on this game.
you
It's
don't think
already down
so?
to 2 in some places.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Again, the NFC North, they've been good to us. We've just literally just been betting the dog in this division. I think they're hitting at like a 60% clip this season.
AFC.
So
AFC North.
AFC North.
All right. I'm going to throw it at you. I'm upset we didn't fade Washington this week, and maybe that's influencing my decision making. I'm upset we didn't play Tennessee this week. It's almost like the NFL schedule. They knew. They knew come Thanksgiving weekend, they were going to have a game that is going to play with the psyche of bettors in a way that tortures them all through the week. Tennessee is a 7.5 point dog at Washington right now. I think Washington's defense is not very good. I think Jaden Daniels has been struggling. I think interior pressure causes problems for him. Brian Robinson got banged up in this game. I don't want to do it. Tell me not to do it and tell me why.
I would say do it if you can get the 7 because I'm seeing almost all books are down to 6. So
Seriously?
yeah, you're on the professional side right now. The pros agree with you, which again, makes sense. We've just talked about like that. Something's wrong with Washington right now, but betting Tennessee, I don't know what I'm betting on. I'm just simply betting the number. That's all I know with Tennessee right now. Like having
Jeez, that
faith
line
in Will
moved.
Levis to carry you to these covers right now is literally Russian
Terrible.
roulette.
That line moved a full point through a key number since we've been on the air.
Yeah.
Because I checked this right before we came on the air. Wow, that's super frustrating. Gosh, darn. The most holiday movie time. Do you know what movie that's from?
Christmas Vacation.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I think that was before you were born and you know it. Oh my
Yeah, I got VHS.
VHS. Jesus H. Christ. Carolina plus 6.5 at Tampa Bay. Done. Book it. Let's go.
I know, we have to.
Got to.
I know. That
That's
was a
it.
line that jumped out to me too, where it's like, some books open at 7, some books open at 6, 6.5, 6 feels right. That feels like where this line should be because Tampa is, I mean, we talked about they're like the most complete team, no doubt, in that division. Like they've just been unlucky. They lost those 2 games to Atlanta, and games in which they easily could have won, didn't break their way. They're just so well coached. Not that I thought they were going to lose today, but everything about today was like they might look over this Giants team and not really take them serious. They came out there and just beat the shit out of them. I think it was 17-0, like that. Yeah.
They were not fucking around.
No. And, Mike Evans back, you see immediately how big of a difference it makes that offense where it's like he can just get you that 5-6 yards anytime you really need it. And we've seen it now. Bucky Irving, he's come in and really reshaped that team's running style.
Yeah,
like,
he's
he
been
just
great.
runs so hard. It's just been so impressive watching him as a rookie get better every week. And, Todd Bowles is old school. He's still giving, I think it's White, their number 1, a lot of touches. But, Bucky, to me, he's the game changer right now in that offense. Like him with Baker, Mike Evans, like that's a really good offense right now. And, this Carolina team, we just talked about it. Their defense is bad. Like teams are always going to be able to move the ball on them. The key is for us with them, what type of Bryce Young we get in that day. And when he's on, this offense is clicking. They're 3 straight covers now.
Yeah. 2 wins, 3 covers.
They've turned it around. They really
turned
have.
around. And like this is a big favorite in a division game. And they're going to be on the road.
And then one more before we go, just this to me is the stinkiest, funkiest line of the week. Saints plus 2.5 at home against this Rams team. I told you, I think the Rams are going to win tonight. So it's like, I'm not in a rush to bet this one, but I promise you, me and Chad, going to be on the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's, not that I like the matchup for them because we've already seen how that Saints team's going to be now. Like they're going to be a run-heavy team, which I love. But if the Rams win tonight, this will be a perfect spot to sell on this team.
Well, look, there's a lot of games we can discuss. The 49ers are 6.5-point dogs on the road at the Bills. We don't know the status of anybody for that game. We've heard Brock Purdy's going to play. A lot to talk about next week. Super excited to unpack all of it. We got the Rams tonight. Even though Simon and I are on opposite sides, I'm going to root for us to be 3-2.
Thanks, Chad.
I root against my dollars because I love Simon and I want him to be right and I want us to be good in the contest. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Catch our Thanksgiving mega episode live Tuesday, 1:30 Eastern. I thought we went on at 1:45 Eastern on the Action Network YouTube channel. If Matt Mitchell wants to tell me in the chat what I'm missing here.
1:30. Here we go.
1:30. You know what? You're right. We've moved it up 15 minutes. We go on at 1:30. Catch our Thanksgiving mega episode live on Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel. We'll cover the whole Thanksgiving week board, all the picks, all our segments. We'll announce our Week 12 contest winner. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Till Tuesday. Love you.